Hi, guys. Welcome to Verse Crypto channel. We have a special guest that will be interviewing today. The name of our guest is Anders Johnsson. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. So, a little background on Anders. So, Anders has 20 years of internal experience working in the tech industry in Sweden, United States, United Kingdom, Australia, and China. Anders has actively been involved in blockchain projects since 2014. He worked with blockchain and DeFi startups through to large corporations on blockchain integration strategies, contributing extensive industry experience. Anders was a co-founder and majority shareholder and director of Dicrit International, a VR and AI company. I want to apologize if I butchered that name. I was trying to figure out how to say it.
Perfect pronunciation.
Awesome, cool. So with that being said, man, just kind of break it down. We got a great idea of your like industry experience, but I'm really curious about like, your background and what really got you interested in like cryptocurrency and blockchain technology.
Yeah, so I started very early. So as you mentioned in the introduction there, so I have an IT and startup background even before I got into crypto, and I spent many years in China doing startups and so on. I were there, and then I moved back to Sweden 2009, and it was very early 2010 where I started to hear about these, like the internet money, the new internet money and so on. And it was quite hard to get information, but I found the Satoshi white paper, read it, didn't know exactly what to think about it, and at that time it was no real like utility or use case in it either, and it was jumping in price and so on. I liked like the censorship resistance about it. And that was mainly because I got interested in it, because living in Sweden and have been an expat in China for many years, I didn't want to give away all my money to like the Swedish tax authorities. So I got really interested in it, started to follow it. But it was not until 2011 when WikiLeaks they started to accept Bitcoin, and that was when you really saw that it actually had like a real utility, because then a lot of people they wanted to send donations to WikiLeaks and so on, but Visa and MasterCard had denied them, so that was the only way to do it. So then I really started to see like what this Bitcoin could actually do, that this became like an alternative, a censorship resistant way that no one can take away from you. So that got me involved in more in the Bitcoin community and so on. Of course, Ethereum, and since I also started to understand what could actually be with cryptocurrency when Ethereum and the white paper and so on was published, because that meant that we now had a Turing complete platform where we could actually build applications on, and so that was like totally different from what Bitcoin is, which is just a script and you can't really build the same way. And so that got me even more involved. Of course, I still had like my traditional startup gene, and was involved in that side as well, the traditional IT and so on. But it became more and more. In 2015, I was part of a think tank, 24/7 block labs that we established with the industry experts all over the world, and we got involved in in projects that was launching on Ethereum, was a lot of being an advisor to more projects that I would like to. But it will have been very interesting. You learned a lot and how cryptocurrency actually works, what creates a value, and so on. And also, of course, the things that you have to also watch out for, because it's not only is it a new technology, it's also, since we have these with the censorship resistance and so on, and that you are responsible for your private keys and your money. That means that it's also can be for people who don't understand like the security aspect of it and so on. It's easy for people to lose their money and so on. So it's a lot of things, but it's a revolutionary technology that will take over. And I like to talk a lot. I'm doing a lot of speeches and so on around at crypto conferences and so on. And I like the concept when we not only talking cryptocurrency, but we're talking about Web3. And now it's changing to the Internet of Value exchange, that it's actually that is coming. And that is exactly what it is. So cryptocurrency is one part of it, but there is so much more to it.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I love how you brought up like Ethereum, because like what we're starting to see is this blockchain technology is consistently getting upgraded from one thing to another. How I like to describe it to, you know, a lot of people, it's like going from like Windows 6 to 7. It's like an upgrade, added features. And I actually have a follow-up question with your background. So you talk about how you did a lot of work with like, you know, AI, and I'm assuming you did some work with like machine learning.
Yeah.
Do you think like a lot of these like AI systems, whether it's like autonomous vehicles or something in this like aspect, can be implemented on a blockchain? So
yeah, it's a good question, and I'm a little because I sometimes I see like AI and blockchain. It's a little like total opposite things, you know, because we don't want to be put in in that system where everything is like traceable and profiles is done, you know, and so on. But it is happening in blockchain as well. I met with one blockchain startup, so they using AI to create and follow different wallet addresses, for example, to create profiles on them, you know, and that. So I don't like really like that because that is a bit opposite why we are in this space. It is to have like the financial freedom and so on, that no governments and so on should be able to make these kinds of profiles of you. But there is these projects going on with AI, but we are not doing anything with Love.io in that sense, you know, and I would prefer to have these applications on Pulsechain, which a lot of the Ethereum applications moving over, so we can have these like the privacy apps and so on there as well. So that means that it will be harder for the AI projects, but of course these are technology and so on at itself, and technology is always follows and so on.
yeah, no, I definitely like that, and that's a good perspective. I mean, when I talk about, you know, cryptocurrency and like blockchain technology, you know, a lot of like people that are very new into this industry don't understand like the implications of how you can put so much stuff on a blockchain. And coming across AI, it's pretty cool, but it's also very scary, like you said, man, because like a lot of these big tech social media giants have like an AI algorithm that collects data on you. And I think like probably the next field when it comes to social media is trying to build something on a blockchain that's censorship resistant and doesn't and offers you that privacy that you talk about a lot. So
Yeah.
but it's pretty cool to see, you know, there's so many avenues and so many ways you can go. So it's definitely really exciting. But yeah, so I think we'll get closer to your project, but we should definitely do an interview just talking about this stuff because I know a lot of people will be interested, man. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, cool. So the next thing I want to ask, so what kind of got you interested in like, you know, like the Hex and the Pulsechain community? Because that's something that like Love.io really clicks with, and that's like the community they're you guys are appealing to, excuse me.
Yeah, so I can start off with Hex. Being like in the Bitcoin community for so long, and also I discovered Richard, basically when he started to stream, and Richard was in the Bitcoin community a very strong personality and so on, and of course even back then everyone saw the intellectual capacity of Richard at that time as well, and so I followed Richard there, and then of course when he left the Bitcoin and started with Bitcoin Hex and these new projects that he started with. Then of course it was many that, oh, what is Richard doing now, and so on. But I have kept on following him. I have been in and out of Hex. I have quite a good bag now, and waiting for it to be copied and doubled with the Pulsechain launch and so on. But what drove us into Pulsechain is basically mainly for the technology, and that is so we are not like building on Pulsechain because we want to get like money from hexagons or whatever. So we have seen and we have followed a lot of different chains and so on, and Love need special things to work, not only in real life, but as a cryptocurrency, it needs some really important things. And what we discovered quite early, and that was with the Bitcoin Cash fork from Bitcoin Core, and why Bitcoin Cash didn't succeed, was that they didn't have something in their concept that could scale basically by itself. It's always for like a non-coiner and so on. If they receive like $5 in a cryptocurrency with a strange name, then they need to know what kind of project is this, and then you have a very long adoption project. So we were looking for a ticker and a name that basically the name comes first when you receive it, and you get like a positive feeling when you receive it. And the only ticker you can have on a cryptocurrency is basically Love, that if you receive $5 in an SMS in Love from a person you have, oh, I have received Love, then it's automatically that you download the wallet, if you have like instructions in that SMS and so on. So it's very similar how the social networks, how they could scale very quickly. It was also like very simple process, like of course Facebook with a friend request, you just like receive the friend request, oh, I know that person, I accept, and then the acquisition process started where you have to sign up, you have to upload, and so on. And basically all companies that succeeded after the .com era, they had some kind of blitzscaling capability. Even Amazon did blitzscaling, and how they did it was to make like a close cooperation with Google. So if you remember in the early days of Google, even before when they started, but I would say it was when they introduced AdWords with the listing 2004, I think it was, and then they did a cooperation with Google, and then Amazon could start to blitzscale. And what blitzscale for Amazon part was that you went in and did a Google search of your perfume, for example, and then you found it on Google AdWords. Amazon always had cheaper than anyone else, so they had like the monopoly of search, you know, in Google. And then you found your perfume, and then you went to buy it. Then you had to sign up to Amazon. I have to sign up there. Okay, I sign up an account. You know, so then the acquisition came after the discovery. You know. And so basically all successful companies during that time use blitzscaling, and crypto have had that problem because it always is like long onboarding time, you know, even if you receive hex in an SMS, you know, like if you have not heard and then hex, what's that? And sadly, if you do a search, then you find out, you know, that, it's a scam or whatever, you know. So it's like actually hard to onboard with that. But if you have a ticker like Love, that works very similar because you get it from your own trusted network and then receive it. So it's like love.io. We are a very serious project, a lot of money invested, and only our domain, you know, it's worth a lot of money. And but it's a very simple concept if you look at it. So that is like the first thing, that you're actually using a ticker and the name to create these, that the network can grow. And that is like the main thing in a cryptocurrency is the network. And it's very easy to explain that as well. It's like we have a limited supply of the token or coin in the network. Bigger network means a higher price. But then, of course, you have to have some kind of utility for the network to be in. You know, if there is not like a big utility, then it's no reason to be in that network more than just like speculation and hope that the coin or token goes up in value. And with Love as a cryptocurrency, there also opens up these amazing ways and utility functions. And of course, there are some that is very easy to understand, like the micro tipping part, that you as a streamer can receive Love donations and so on in micro tipping. Fantastic. We have that concept have even gone further. I have been on a lot of NFT conferences around here in the US. I've been to LA, NFT, in Miami now for all these, and that have been a lot of interest, because not only does Love provide a micro tipping function in that area, since Love is then stored on the blockchain, that means that you can also do a lot of interesting things as a content creator, an artist, you know, and so on, because that means that they can make, for example, an NFT of the wallet address that's supported, like the followers and fans. And then they can say that, okay, this NFT of the wallet addresses that is actually supporting and sending micro tipping, if I make it in the future, you will have access to my special editions. You will have right to come to our meetups and meet with me as an artist, you know, and so on. So they can actually make these promises from the artist to the supporters, and then that NFT, since everything is like recorded on the blockchain, that can become like very valuable in the future, because it's both including these rights and so on from the micro tipping wallet, and it get also tradable, that they can trade that wallet, because all these rights that are included for the future. And so it's amazing, and that concept have really taken off when we're talking about bringing in outside monetary energy into the Pulsechain ecosystem, because they, like these artists, they really understand that immediately, that will create to be able to be paid while creating, as we say, that have been like artists in all time, you know, they have lived on water and bread, you know, when they are creating and have no income or anything. And then when they make their big art, you know, then they can sell it and maybe make a lot of money. But this, since we live in this like supporter and follower economy today, and we have cryptocurrency, so this is like fantastic. Why Love was not like launched earlier, and as you asked me to, with why we decided on Pulsechain. So of course, we could have done like our own blockchain, and we could have, you know, like cheap transactions if we had done it on a protocol that was like less secure and so on. But we didn't really want to do that. Also one major part as well is that if we would have done like our own like Love blockchain and maybe done a fork of Litecoin or whatever, you know, it's still we would have been dependent a lot on like the centralized exchanges. And if you want to create like a cryptocurrency that increases with the network, and that is like the price goes up massively, you don't want to be in the hands of like these centralized exchanges that can basically just manipulate the trading, buy up a lot of your coin and token, and then they can just like flash crash your cryptocurrency. So we said, okay, we have to wait until these with the decentralized exchanges started to appear. So we had, of course, an option to launch it when Uniswap was launched in 2018. But then the other problem came up, that we saw that the strength in Love with the name and so on when it came to micro tipping didn't work on Ethereum with the high gas fees. So when Richard announced Pulsechain last year, that was everything we have been looking for. So even the name, you know, like Love and Pulse, that basically the only thing you need in life, you know. So we said that this is like the perfect, and we get like the whole ecosystem. We get the best technology, stress test on Ethereum code. It's all fantastic. It's like everything we can dream of having with Love, launching Love, we have in Pulsechain. It's amazing. So that's why we are building on Pulsechain.
Yeah, definitely. And that was a great explanation. There's a lot of stuff I want to break down on that description a little bit. But before I ask you a little bit more about, you know, layer one blockchains, and I actually want to get in a little bit about layer zeros, could you just briefly describe what Love.io is, just for someone who's new to the project, never seen it before, in a few sentences?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and it's quite interesting, because when you we have been on quite many crypto conferences around in the world, you know, starting off in Barcelona in October, and had all our team and so on there. And when people first see Love.io, they think, oh, what's this? You know, is that the dating app or porn on Pulsechain or porn?
I thought the same thing. I'm not going to lie, man. I honestly did. But yeah, so I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, so it's no, so that is of course like the first thing, and but we see too that have gained us as well, because we have had a lot of people coming up to us on these conferences, and they want to find out more. And then we get the chance to really explain that this is a lot of brain power in with the name and why we are launching. And it's a very simple thing when we are like breaking down like we're doing now. with the concept that the ticker, very simply, it's for the blitzscaling, something that can actually increase by itself. So you don't need to push it a lot of like advertising the brand and so on. We have all of those things, and I think that what you also said in your excellent review, that it's also have a good SEO option, because if you when we're starting to go up on the charts, you know, that means that love.io is an excellent, also easy to find, you know, and so on in that. So and also other marketing aspects of the brand, it always catch your eye if you see that, or as you say, when you see it, because we believe that this is something that will be very, very big. And when you see it in the charts and you see love, that means that you directly, oh, love, what kind of project is that, you know? So you get that feeling, it stands out, you know, it's easy, and people, it works in every language. I even have now, you know, like tweets that I don't understand, that it's coming from like Japan, you know, they are like tweeting now, and because about the project, and we have like great interest from other countries, because if it's one word they understand, in other countries it's in English is love, you know. So so that is no, so it's have a lot of things going for it, and so I would say that the real strength that we have is with the name, the utility in it. It's having the network function, and as we discussed earlier, with a network that can increase easily. That means a higher value. The value can go up like massively, which we also have seen in Hex in many ways. You know, like if you just like breaking down projects that are a bit in the Metcalfe's law projects, that is not only like Dogecoin that goes up when Elon tweets, you know, like why the big gain like Hex did was when we had the big COVID dip, and a lot of projects, they lost a lot of money, but then Hex started to go up. And why? Because the users increased, because a lot of people got wrecked, and then they said, oh, now I'm just like staking my buying Hex and stake it, you know, and then I don't care about crypto. So so that also, like the Metcalfe's law, worked very well with Hex, you know, and Love have exactly that same function. And then of course the technology. So now with Pulsechain, we're living on the Pulsechain technology, and that of course we have also our own devs working on functions and applications, but that is more on like the utility function. So we have for example, one marketplace in Lovefy.com, which is also very valuable domain and so on, that actually Lovefy. We believe in the future, people, when they are sending like micro tipping and so on using Love, that will be the same as you Google something, you can Lovefy content, you know, and so on. So we have one marketplace, very easy marketplace there, and that have also taken off already. Even if Pulsechain is not launched, we have adoption coming in like every day, because we started to list perfumes from a few drop shippers, and those perfumes, they have got listed in the Google indexes, and so we have not done any AdWords or anything. But then people, they are finding these perfumes, and then they go in to the marketplace, and then they buy the perfume, and then we have put in like a cashback system that they can receive like Love rewards. And then they are, how can I get my love, and so on. So we're getting like adoption already now, and that means a buy order. Every time someone is buying a perfume and they're getting cash back, that means that is like a buy order. So we are actually like putting up a lot of buy orders already now that then needs to be like bought love when Pulsechain is up, to get to get people their cash back in love. And that is like the Amazon model of blitzscaling, since they use Google as well, and also like got like people to register on Amazon here through getting in like products into the marketplace. That means also we get like adoption in a similar way. So that is what our devs, we will actually now before Pulsechain's launch, we will add on hundreds of thousands of more products in there. So they also get like listed on Google indexes, and then we probably will also push it on AdWords, and that means adoption. Every time someone is buying, then they want to have the cash back, and that is paid in love cryptocurrency. And so that's one.
Yeah. So just to break down what you're saying, probably just a sort of description how anyone viewing this video, basically Love.io is peer-to-peer digital cash where you can use it to buy products, send to other people. It's basically a way to kind of basically what you use for fiat currency when you have like a credit card or a debit card and whatnot. And basically what Love.io is trying to become one of the biggest peer-to-peer digital cash like industries within Pulsechain. So we can use it as a way to compete in the digital economy when it comes to acquiring products, using like Amazon Marketplace and whatnot, and also use it as a way to onboard more users to Pulsechain. Do you think that's a good description? Just so
it is. So that is like the technology part of it. How I sometimes see it as well, and that comes into this a bit when we talking about Web3 and the value, the Internet of Value exchange. And I see that love as a cryptocurrency, there is like a lot of love today in Web2, like love between a streamer and their followers and fans, an influencer and their followers and fans. That is not like monetized today. There is a lot of love between a brand and a company and a consumer, and that's how we see it, And the same like for the cashback, that if someone is buying a nice brand perfume as they do today, and the cashback function, that is love that the brand is actually giving back also in real life. But putting love cryptocurrency, we're actually making the Internet of Value, that you actually get the cryptocurrency on your wallet with that value. And so when the micro tipping is also something that in the Web2, this like Bitcoin tried, but couldn't do it because of the high transaction costs and low the confirmation times and everything. They couldn't do like the micro tipping in the same way. And then the centralized platforms like Patreon and GoFundMe and for streamers like the Super Chat and so on, they took over, But we see Love have like a perfect product market fit with a name, and now with Pulsechain we can do it with like less than a penny per transaction, and it's peer-to-peer, and can just have your love heart and a QR code with your wallet address, and then you can receive love directly, And it can work too, like today, it's also with like Super Chat. It is like to make something. If I'm going to send you, if you have a Super Chat, and I send you like $5, then I know that if I send you $5, it's like 30% goes to the centralized platforms, and so on. And but with Love, built on Pulsechain, people can just send you like a few cents, like 50 cents. It becomes this, like very, you Lovefy content. You don't need to. That all I'm sending goes directly to the person I send it. It's not that I send it and then it's going to be like a big commission taken. And then when it comes to crypto YouTubers, it's I heard that it's only like 50 or 60% that actually get their donations when they're doing something, and so on. So that is also like a big problem that the centralized platforms has, that they can basically say like, no, we don't accept that you do it, and we hold the funds, and so on. So it's a lot of like huge problem that Love.io solves in Web3, when it's billions and billions of dollars, if not like trillions of dollars, that we are now talking like Web3 and the internet of value. And how we want to position ourselves is to be like the love between creators, peer-to-peer, between brands and consumers and so on. So that is the position that Love.io will take.
Yeah, I love your guys' branding, the concept of using love, because when I first saw it, I was like, I don't know what's going on here. But I'm just being completely honest. I try to be as honest as possible.
Yeah. Many did.
Yeah, but when you get down to like the nuts and the bolts, and you look at like the branding, and for those of you guys who don't know, when it comes to these keywords on like a Google search, companies will pay for certain words, and that's like a little bit of a watered down breakdown. And so with love.io, love is basically one of the most searched terms on the Google search engine, on the DuckDuckGo search engine. And so by tying a cryptocurrency project and then your company, well, you guys are more like a foundation, but and tying all that together, it's like automatically awesome branding. And once the community gets large enough, then you guys will probably get free advertisement all across this digital space. So it's a pretty awesome idea. And honestly, if I had that idea, I would have done the exact same thing and jumped in. So
but you are in our community as well, so you are welcome. We are very early, so that is also like the fantastic thing, that we are so early. This is only like the small beginning where we are now, and that is the fantastic thing with everything in crypto, that like if you compare with like startups before crypto, then it was a bit of that thinking that if it was like an idea or a concept you liked, and then you had someone starting that startup, then you said, oh, now they did it, and they got raised all this money, and now it's like just like watch the ride,
Right.
But with crypto, it's everything is about like communities, and when you have like a small community, and we have like a very small community now, because we, as I said, and as you also said, it takes time, also to build community and everything, but like the small, so that's what I see is like the strength of like seeing a concept. Okay, you believe it, then you can get involved, and you can be like, because the cryptocurrency is like a ticket of a membership in a community, like that's like one thing, and then it can have like a utility, and as we said, like Love have a lot of big utility functions. And it's also kind of like a share. Like if the project succeeds and the price goes up, then you also get like the financial benefits. In like the old age, in the .com era, then it was like, okay, they did a startup, and then, okay, maybe they do an IPO in like 3-4 years, and then maybe you can buy, like a share if you're lucky to be part of the IPO, So it's like a very... cryptocurrency is like inclusion. It's like fantastic because everyone is, it's like, I see and that is what's have been like cool too, because we have got a lot of these NFT artists involved into Love.io, of the reason I explained earlier. And then we have got a lot of these DAOs, like the NFT DAOs supporting Love.io, and big like influencers in those communities. And they also see Love.io as a DAO, you know, because we are, you know, like a cryptocurrency which is decentralized, and that means that the community is drives the project in many ways, you know. So
yeah, no, you definitely brought up like a lot of great points there. And I think the one thing you talk about was community. And in my opinion, I think Hex and Pulsechain have some of the strongest communities out there. The one thing I do not like about the communities, and basically just want to get one thing across, is, you know, when it comes to these new projects, I see a lot of backlash on, you know, Reddit and Telegram. And when it comes to the overall success of Pulsechain, is you want a lot of these projects developed by Hexicans or Pulsechans making their own project on the blockchain to onboard more users. Because like we talked to like Internet Money KG, really great guy. Like he was a Hexican and he's doing his part to try and bring people in. You guys are doing your part. So, you know, community is everything. And, you know, support for a lot of these projects coming up is something I'm really big into. And I feel like you're the same way, man. So
yeah, it is. I know KG too. And he was like one of the first big supporters of Love.io. So I was like really jumped on Skype with him, or a stream. It was like already like in October, November, when we just started to launch Love.io, and he, I think he's based in Texas, and he was in Australia at the time, and he was just like contacting me, oh, I love the project and everything, and of course he had his own project, which I also support, and you are like totally right in it, that of course. Like the Hexicans, as you say, is I would say like the strongest community in crypto today, with how it is. But it can also, I wouldn't say that direct backslash, but I would say that it can be used in such a more efficient way, you know, like when you have a strong community and you have all the money that have been made, you know, and so on in the Hexican community, that can be used. For example, I think it was Frosty that said it in a stream from Ecuador in a couple of days ago, that we should like really going in and infiltrate other communities and so on. And that is how we get, you know, like really strong adoption, you know, in that, and because like just like Love.io, like we bring a lot of people, and will bring, you know, like so many of these. We see like will be so many that will have like a Love wallet, you know, and then they have to have some Pulse to be able to send the Love, you know, they are in the ecosystem. And that means that for those people, they will be much easier for them to buy Hex, because they have, you know, like the MetaMask wallet. They probably have made like a lot of money on Love when Love goes up, you know, and then they want to get, you know, like, okay, what is the best staking app for long-term gratification? Oh, Hex, I want to buy some Hex too. I want to get in the ecosystem, and that is how we really take Hex to the next step, you know. And there is also one thing that I don't think that have been like communicated so much to Hexicans, and that is what when we see the sacrifice phase, that actually Hex have been sacrificed, you know, so many billions of dollars have been sacrificed to Pulsechain, you know. And what does that mean? That means that the biggest stakeholder in Pulsechain is actually Hex, you know. So that means that if Pulsechain succeeds, then even simultaneously hex goes up in value, because all those hex that have been sacrificed for Pulsechain basically are involved, like in the price for hex for the future, So if Pulsechain really succeeds with a lot of projects building, a lot of like transactions, and since the Pulsechain is a transaction-based blockchain, that the pulse will go up. Same with Pulsex and so on. That means that hex indirectly also will go up in price. If you see that OI is like a stakeholder in Pulsechain, and so the interest for us is like, of course. I can understand the argument that okay, some projects that is just like targeting like hexagons and so on, that can mean that okay, money can shift to these like projects building on Pulsechain and so on, and so that is of course a discussion by itself. But I see that especially projects that is bringing in like monetary energy to the ecosystem, that is like, so I'm like wondering why not all hexagons have sacrificed to Love.io, because that actually will pump, like their future bags, So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good point. I want to go back to the infiltrating new communities. Do you have plans on launching Love.io and on other blockchains after the Pulsechain launch?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So what we did was that we have created and deployed a contract on Ethereum. So then we are just like get that copied over to Pulsechain. So we will already exist on both Ethereum and Pulsechain, and then as I see it, is always to break into different communities. It's just like we said, like we need to like infiltrate to get like energy from other and then come in, and there is different ways of doing it. So maybe we have not taken like a decision about that now, because now it's like the big focus is like Ethereum and Pulsechain, and of course Pulsechain will be like where we can build all these like fantastic applications that Love can be used as, because you can't do like a cashback system on Ethereum and so on, and of course there is also a lot of other things that is like really important, that we don't want to have Love on blockchains that have a security issue, and like Solana, like even if Solana have like everyone is saying that Solana is the next big thing, but they don't know about the biggest secret in crypto, which is Pulsechain, but we don't want to build on Solana, because you can't have like something is down for like 11 hours, or you have can be like problems. I think if there will be like hacks or anything, like we see that we are the strength in Love.io is of course all the things we have discussed here today.
Oh yeah.
But one of the biggest strengths is Pulsechain. It is this with the security side. It is that we have those, that the whole ecosystem from Ethereum is forked over. So we are selling in that too. That is also something that is really cool, because now, as we said with NFT artists, we have got like a lot of great support, from the LA NFT conference, Miami NFT conference, and all of that. and they are using all of these chains today, but what we are selling in with Love, and then of course why Pulsechain is so fantastic is that all their NFTs will be duplicated, and that means that they can have doing like an NFT for minted for like a few cents compared to like minted on Ethereum, and then they start to think, so for us, we are using that as an advantage too, but of course, if there are any strategically things that we see that here we can like get people now with to download a Love wallet, like then of course it's very easy. We can burn from one chain, and then we can just like add on Love on another chain, so it's like the tokenomics is quite easily taken care of if you see that. And that is also, now when we're talking about that is important too, and which we also see like a great advantage that we actually did like the Ethereum contract first as well. It is that can also create easy ways, like of course Pulsex will be our main like exchange because that of all the things that we have discussed, but there is also possibilities like if we want to have a bigger exchange, a centralized exchange listing, then that can be done with the Love ERC20s, because it's like if they have not integrated Pulsechain in their exchange, we can actually use that. And then have something in the pair, so bridging over from one chain to another chain. So I see that there is like a lot of like different possibilities, but it's nothing that we have laid out now. But all these decisions will be made with the interest of the ecosystem, because everyone that is having a Love holders, every decision on that will be, like what gains like the ecosystem.
Yeah, it's very interesting with the Pulsechain launch, how they're going to be having a 1-to-1 copy of every token on the Ethereum blockchain to the Pulsechain blockchain. And I think that little, I'll call it flashpoint, is very significant in the Pulsechain ecosystem evolution, based on the fact that when you have like a project, for example, Uniswap, who's running on Ethereum, and you see these massive gas fees and the community people moving to other blockchains or whatnot, they can easily switch over to the Pulsechain, and basically all the software coding's right there. So I think the onboarding users is pretty significant, especially since Ethereum is the second largest blockchain, and Bitcoin doesn't really have any of these dApps built on top of it. So, but outside of that, that's definitely a good point. Pulsechain's a very strong blockchain. As to the security, I think it's secure, but I'm really curious to see. Well, I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with the bridges, because with Solana, the issue was they had a huge mistake on the bridge that allowed for that massive hack. And I know there's going to be a bridge from Ethereum to Pulsechain. So I don't think anything will happen, but that's like my main concern, because that's where all the hacks happen, is always on those bridges. So
yeah, it is. But I think that we have Richard, and if there is someone that is that I trust in the crypto community, it is Richard. Not like Richard is himself is this like a coder or and so on, but he gets the best people of working on this. I think that when it's the bridge, I think that there is also forks that have been done, and then you have these that everything is stress tested. The same with Pulsex, that have been forked over. So we have that in the code, which I see is the most. All these others like Solana and so on, they basically have done all of these things from scratch, and then just doing that is a massive security risk. And so I see that what we basically doing with Pulsechain is that we are taking this code from 2015 that is like the oldest stress test code in the crypto space, and and then doing like upgrades in different things, and everything Richard and the devs team have been working on is even upgrades of existing things on Ethereum. So we not only do we get like the Ethereum stress tested code in many ways, we also get like the upgraded version that have been easier, that Vitalik have tried, and we see now with Ethereum 2.0 what will happen when they change to proof of stake. But that's not, many people believe that will not happen in a month or so when they plan to do it, that they have that, because it's much harder for them to make changes, the Ethereum community, than it is for the Pulsechain devs to do it, because they can just like take the code and then do like direct upgrades and what they want to do and work on. And so I'm very positive in that sense. So I'm not like totally worried, but of course it's always something. But I think that the best hand that anyone can play on in the crypto space now when it comes to security is Pulsechain. So that is my belief.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree. So yeah, we'll see, but I'm sure everything's all good. I just want to point that out. But all right, before we move on to the next section, the one thing I really wanted to ask you about was competing peer-to-peer digital cash projects. And within cryptocurrency, XLM, XRP are two big things that everyone's always talking about. It's all over the place. Do you view Love.io as a competitor? And if so, what advantage do you think you have over these two example projects?
So what we back to the simple fact that if you receive $5 in Love compared to if you receive $5 in XRP, and then the first question, if you are like not in the crypto space and you get like XRP, that is like, what is that? That means that you have like a long like learning process to understand, and then you do searches, and then you find like different communities and so on. So the name is like our huge competitive advantage, that we have a name, we have a ticker that outcompete that, But of course, XRP it have a huge community already, but that means that it's even better to join Love.io now, because we have like a small community that will just be larger, So that is also like a big competitive advantage that I see. I would say that it works in so many ways that, of course, there is like even Bitcoin and the Lightning network and sending Satoshi. I've heard now on the Bitcoin conference in Miami, they were like talking, Bitcoin is going to take back these like the micro tipping, and it's so easy to send Satoshis, when they have been talking about that for like 10 years, and that is also they try, but the same what we have now, we have the perfect ticker, the perfect domain, and we have like the best technology. Bitcoin have a name that they are always talking about, like Bitcoin being like the best brand name in crypto. I would say that it's one of the worst brand name. Like when I'm like explaining for my dear mother, about that I'm involved in cryptocurrency, and then she says, that Bitcoin, are you involved in that Bitcoin thing? And that is, like to get like mainstream adoption, we have to to have something that can basically scale by itself, and that's what I see with Love. That now she's like so happy, and she's almost like I'm working for the church, spreading love all over the world. So
yeah, it's so interesting when it comes to these really advanced projects, because you can make something that sends in a second, crazy fast scalability, but the user access and the usability is something I think is probably the most important thing, because like if you can have someone like, for example, your grandma or my grandma or my parents sit down and not figure out how to send like a cryptocurrency from person to person, the chances of them using are very small. And this was the case back with there was DVDs, and I think there was like a special type of DVD that was supposed to replace the whole entire DVD market. I forgot the name of it. You might know. But
it was VCD.
Yeah, it was the VCD.
VCD was before DVD.
Yeah, but this DVD was supposed to be so great, and it was supposed to replace everything, but it wasn't that easily accessible because you had to get like a special reader for it, and it never took adoption. So that's like one of those ones.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because I was living in China for many years, and what China did was basically they jumped different technology ways, So they in China they didn't have these like the old video cassettes and so on, so they went directly to VCDs and then the DVDs as well, so they jumped, the same when it comes to like mobile apps. They moved like in the technology, and and that is also very interesting to look at, is like these major technology shifts and why those happen. And what I have been studying a lot and is like the technology shift from like the .com and what happened after .com, and that was like the bandwidth problem was like one of the major thing with that so many companies failed, startups failed in the .com because you couldn't have like a functioning website to do like business on. You couldn't do like it was like no utility, was you couldn't use the .com startups, But then when the shift came and we got like the bandwidth in the early 2000s, then it became like, okay, now the technology is here. And that's like the first thing that I see now with Pulsechain is that, okay, now we get these, like the technology and so on to build and to have the speed and the cheap transactions, So that's like one, but because even if we were talking like in the early 2000s that, you can do like private networks on the internet and then have like very fast transactions, but that didn't work because you didn't have like the whole internet ecosystem to do like a private network that was very fast and you had like easy. So you need to have something that have like the whole ecosystem, that have the security and have the speed, and that is also the only blockchain that I see in the crypto space. And when we're talking about Web3 and the Internet of Value Exchange, that can actually handle that. So it's very, very interesting in this, like the technology shifts. And then as I see, as we were talking as well, that yes, there is a lot of these like companies or cryptocurrencies today that maybe have tried to do and still trying, like Bitcoin and XRP, and to be like micro tipping, and that's like so. But I don't see. I see just like early 2000. Love have the right name, can blitzscale just like those companies did, So I'm very, very looking forward to this competition with these other cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait to see what happens and see what you guys put out. It's gonna be awesome to see that competition. But One thing I want you to break down real quick is blitz scaling. It's a term they use a lot, but just for someone who's never heard about it before, could you just briefly describe that?
Yeah, so as we touched earlier here in this stream, is that blitzscaling is something that I would say all of the big tech companies today, they used blitzscaling to become where they are today. And in the .com era, it was a lot about customer acquisition cost and so on. How long does it take to sell in your product or service, and how long time do they take to register and so on. So that was like the .com mentality. But then this changed in the early 2000s when we got like the bandwidth and everything. And then those companies, they started to say like, okay, now we don't care about these, like the customer acquisition cost, or and so on. And brand marketing didn't work. Like PayPal was a very good example that started out with not using blitzscaling. So they raised a lot of money as a .com company. And then they said, now we're going to spend everything in marketing. They had like Times Square advertisement, and they spent like millions of dollars, but no one registered to PayPal. They were like, what's this? They say that this is going to be like the future bank. But no one, so they were like losing on a weekly basis. They lost, like so much money, very close to bankruptcy. But then Peter Thiel, the co-founder of PayPal, he said, and the Silicon Valley guys, they started to look at they saw like Facebook and so on. They started to use this new concept of blitzscaling. And what blitzscaling was basically, okay, you develop something in your name, your concept that can scale by itself, that you can basically just sit back, So Facebook is like a good example that introduced like blitzscaling in their business model. And so they went up against the MySpace, and MySpace was like the king. Like everyone, they had raised, like billions of dollars. They said like MySpace was going to be this, like everyone was going to be on MySpace. And then Facebook came up, and Mark Zuckerberg, like moved to Silicon Valley, and then they got like venture capital and everything. And then they said, okay, we must use this like blitzscale. And how can Facebook blitzscale? So then they introduced like friend requests into the concept of Facebook. So they said, okay, we just have this, that people who are on the platform today, they can send a friend request to their network, the people they know. And then you receive this friend request, and then was like, okay, what's this? Facebook, I never heard, but I know my good friend from high school, he's want to be friend of something, so you get like a positive feeling, then you accept, So then that worked. So Mark Zuckerberg, he could basically just like sit back and then just like watching how Facebook just like increased in users all over the world, because people started to send these like friend requests. And PayPal, so they were like close to bankruptcy, as I said. And then Peter Thiel, he looked at this, and how can we do like blitzscaling, that we can also like sit back and just like watch PayPal grow by itself. So then they introduced this, that you could send like emails with funds, like everyone that got like money on PayPal and had not registered on the platform, they just like got an email or an SMS. I think it was only an email in the beginning of PayPal, and then you say, oh, I received $15 here from that company or that website, or I know that is who have paid me. So you have that like positive, I know it's not a scam or whatever, And then you click, okay, I want to have my $15. And then you have to register, and then you become like a PayPal in the network. So they could also like sit back. So blitzscaling is basically to have something that you can basically like sit back and so on and watch the network growth, Like, of course, you can also include like how Amazon did. So they did like a lot of money in AdWords, but it was like a blitzscaling model that took Amazon from being like book store, online bookstore, to becoming like the biggest marketplace in the world, so that was like blitzscaling in that too. So it's a lot of thinking behind it, and it's one very good book if you want to find out more, and if the viewers want to find out more. And that is a book called Blitzscaling by Chris Yee and Reid Hoffman, the founders of LinkedIn. For LinkedIn also did like blitzscaling when they launched.
Wow, yeah, no, that's definitely really cool. I didn't really understand that concept until I viewed your project, and then it all kind of clicked together when you look at how these big tech companies like function and how they brought in people into their stuff.
Yeah.
And see, that's what I really love about Love.io is that concept of what we were talking about earlier, penetrating communities. And that blitz scaling model could be the one way to onboard someone from like Binance Smart Chain to Pulsechain or Lawless or whatnot.
So it's all of those two, and I think that so blitzscaling. I think that the big inflow from like Binance Smart Chain and from other chains is that they will come in when they see like Love have increased by 300% or 400%. I think that what we have with Love in the name and so on is also, like I see in a year's time when we are like established and launched on Pulsechain, that we will basically have teenage girls sending love to each other, and it work, like on Instagram or wherever, Snapchat, just have your wallet address. And so that means like adoption, like just like sitting back and then, how can I get my $5 in love that I received? Just download a wallet. So then you get like the adoption, and every time, and I want to send her love, so that means I have to buy like $30 in love because I want to send that to her. So you get like buying orders the whole time. You get like a price going up, like very easily. And then of course that will also bring adoptions from other chains, because what we have seen in crypto is that when you have projects on other chains that is gaining a lot of value and momentum, then you get like natural adoption from other chains as well.
Right. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for that description. I want to kind of move on to something a little bit different, switch up the conversation, and I want to get into the Lovefy wallet. So could you kind of like break down Lovefy wallet and kind of explain how your wallet's different from like MetaMask and all these other big ones?
So it's one of the fantastic things, and why we have the advantage of launching on Pulsechain is, first of all, is that we basically don't need a native wallet, because there is, like as you say, MetaMask and everything works on Pulsechain, like just like with a setting that needs to be changed, and plus that we have Richard is putting together his own team to build like a native wallet, and we see that is like one of the major strengths with Pulsechain, because the more wallets that can have your cryptocurrency, then the better it is, so that is like a real strength. But then of course we have a lot of opportunities, and since our team have these different applications that we are working on now, that can be easily integrated. So what we're seeing, like the Lovefy wallet, will work that we're taking like the existing developed applications on Pulsechain, like Pulsex is of course the main thing that you can trade if you receive your love, when you have that, and then I want to buy some hex. And you can easily do that. Sorry.
No problem.
I just take a lot of talking.
Yeah. Always need a water breaker introduced.
Yeah. So what we have with the Lovefy wallet is that wallet, it will not work as like other cryptocurrency wallets. Because we have the big smorgasbord of different things that we can include into that is like already accessible on Pulsechain, being like the Pulse X being like one of the big part of it. But we can also do other things with the Lovefy concept, that we can, for example, have like the marketplace link that you can receive your cash back when you shop. You can go directly into the Lovefy wallet, so that is under development now. We have influencer search platform that if you have, for example, a product, if you have like a Shopify store and so on, and you want to sell your product, then you can go into the influencer search platform and then search for an influencer that match your product or service that you are selling and locally and so on. So we're having a database now of a million influencers. So what the Lovefy wallet will work is to have like applications that we currently are developing, to have that integrated into like a standard native wallet as well. We have not since we first want to have like the Pulsechain mainnet launched and Pulsex and so on launched, we have not started with like the wallet development yet, more than those applications that I just mentioned. But for us, it's like we don't see that that this is needed in the beginning anyway, because there is all of these wallets, like current Ethereum wallets, just change the setting, access Pulsechain. You can have that, or when those other wallets. So we see that it's very different if you're launching like your own blockchain, then to have your own wallet is like your project is almost you have to have it, because if you don't have a wallet and you have your own blockchain, then no one can hold it or send, and so on. But for us, we are in the Pulsechain ecosystem, and Lovefy wallet, we have said that after mainnet is launched, then the development will start. So we know we're not like developing in vain. We concentrate on development now on these applications that will work in the Love ecosystem. So that is our focus. But then that will come up, and since Pulsechain have taken longer time, of course, that is also becomes like Lovefy own native wallet will come later. But we are very excited with that too, because there are so many fantastic things with the things that we are developing now that can actually be integrated, that you, as we said, like you shop, you earn your cash back, you can immediately use your cash back to buy Hex or buy whatever you want to do in the Pulsex. So it's incredible things that we can integrate into that wallet. So and it's not like inventing the wheel from zero, because this is also so fantastic with Pulsechain that you have so many technologies already existing, that you can do forks and upgrade and so on. So
yeah, a lot of projects when they go live on blockchains, they end up making their own wallet with their little special feature. So I see it as a phenomenal marketing tool, especially if you're trying to onboard new users. You have a wallet ready to go. With that new wallet development, do you guys plan on allowing people access to other blockchains? So like on like the MetaMask, you can access Binance Smart Chain, Wallet, all the other ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's and that is, you know, like a setting that you can have, just like how MetaMask and so on works, you know, that you just basically change the setting in the network, and then you can access. But they have to be yeah, so why you can do that with your MetaMask and you to the Binance Smart Chain, for example, that is because Binance Smart Chain, they fork the Ethereum engine, the virtual machine in. So that's why you can just like change the setting, and then so it's not like hard technology either to do that. It's much harder if you, as I said, if you're creating your own blockchain, like many are doing, then there is many more like bigger problems to solve, you know, because then you're like starting from scratch, you know, and that is basically why Binance Smart Chain, why they forked the Ethereum engine, you know. They were like saying, okay, we want to do our own blockchain quick in Binance, and then they're sitting in 3-4 months, you know, with the tech team, and then I say, oh, we're doing everything from scratch. That's like really bad. Okay, we fork Ethereum virtual machine, you know. Okay, let's do that. But then they still want to do like other things by themselves. While Pulsechain, we are like taking everything already existing and just like doing like a huge hard fork, you know, which is like completely different than what they did. But every wallet that is like the MetaMask that Richard's devs team will start to work on soon, that will be like the Pulsechain native wallets, that will have that function in it as well, you know. So that's not like a huge technical problem, you know, to do that when it's already existing. You know?
Yeah, awesome. Cool. So I want to talk a little bit about you guys' QR codes, which is pretty sweet. So
yeah,
to break it down for anyone who first used Love.io, Lovefy Wallet will enable users to send love as monetary evaluation through Love QR codes on social media.
Yeah.
This includes, but not limited to, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, etc. So kind of based off of like those QR codes, the one thing I wanted to ask you about was, do you think big tech companies can block people from sending these QR codes through their platforms? Because we're seeing a lot of censorship already with social media.
Yeah. So to take the first question first, so that this is something really fantastic with like QR codes, and it have not developed so much here in the US. I don't know why, but for me, who lived so many years and spent so much time in Asia, that is like the only thing people are using is like QR code, just like scan, you know. Sweden, where I'm born and come from, also use a lot with the QR codes. And the Love QR code will be even more fantastic than you can see on the website now. So we're actually working with one technology company that there will be like small hearts in the QR code. So when you're doing your Love QR code, it will be actually like small hearts, you know. So it will work, you know, like fantastic, and then you can put that up, you know. And the second question is that if social media platforms would ban it. I don't. First of all, I don't think that they will. First of all, I would say that I don't know if they can. You know, because what can are they going to have like an algorithm that is searching around for like QR codes that is like posted on social media, or if you have, for example, in your stream, or if you upload a photo and there is like a Love QR code on it, you know, and so on, or a heart, you know, and so on. So technically, I don't think that they can. And third, It have existed before, as we say, with Bitcoin, especially Bitcoin Cash. They still have it, I think. But they have not been like banned or anything. That if you have like a Bitcoin wallet address in your social profile, it have been there, you know. So I don't think that just because Love is doing it, you know, now we're going to ban Love, which is also very bad marketing. You can't ban Love, you know. So I don't think that that will happen. And then if it would happen, if they would be so evil to ban Love, which I don't think that people can be so evil, then you could always say that, okay, if you want to send me Love, go to my website or go to my Linktree profile and you see my Love address. You know, it's like 2 clicks away. You just like communicate that with your followers or fans. You can do that in words, you know, like on Instagram too, you know, like, oh, if you want me to take off, do this, do you like this dog? Let's help this dog animal, send Love. You find my Love address on this and this. So it's like 2 clicks away, you know. So you can communicate with words. If that would happen, that they would like search or can do it technically, which I don't think that they can either. I think it would be almost impossible, you know. So
Yeah, you know, when it comes to like big tech, and you know, you guys really advertise the censorship resistant part.
Yeah,
I mean, this is like the big what if, and what ifs are very hard. It's like speculation, so you don't know. But I get a lot of questions from people. Is like, is there workarounds? And you did a great job explaining like the workarounds that. But I mean, honestly, if the government were to like, well, come after cryptocurrency and ban love.io, then that's when you understand like, yo, world might be ending, something's going on. But definitely thank you for breaking that down, because that's like a huge concern with a lot of people, not only in the Pulsechain community but in all communities, and trying to find ways to get around. But I think the QR codes is a really great way of like blitz scaling to other users, especially through these social media platforms. So kind of building off of that, do you guys have like any sort of fiat on or off ramps in your project?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, and that I would say is a great advantage that we have deployed on since we deployed on Ethereum first. So that means that when Pulsechain is launched directly, we have that option to use like Ethereum based on ramps already, you know. So that is like a huge advantage that we have. And I had a very interesting meeting at the Miami conference, and that is with a new trust that is setting up now here in the United States, and they have a lot of money behind them. I can't say which company or which who it is, but they want to integrate Pulsechain related projects, and especially Love, because they completely love Love.io and what we are doing. And they also got like Security Exchange Commission approval as well. So what that will mean is that that can be used as an on-ramp. So basically you can buy Love directly in the United States with your Visa and MasterCard. So it's very interesting, but of course you have to make a contract with them, and you have to put up, like security and so on with this company. But they will then use through their approval and their Security Exchange Commission approval and everything. So that's what we see. That is like one possibility for us to work with that. But in the first stage, as I said, when Pulsechain mainnet launched, it's fantastic that we are, like Ethereum based too, because that means that will be easy for people to get love as well if they have some Ethereum and they can buy, like Pulse on Pulsex, and it is. I know that many see that. The importance with on and off ramps. So I see both the advantages and the disadvantages with it. The advantages, of course, is that we can have that direct, that people can buy just with a Visa and MasterCard and just getting in, so that is really cool, and it's no problem either. US is special because US is a special market, but every major player in Europe and around, they offer Visa and MasterCards in their wallet, and having. But then of course you have the disadvantages with then you have to have KYC. You have that process taking long time, and so on, so that is a problem. But I said this US company, and they are creating. So that means that when you are as an American joining that, it will work basically as Coinbase. But you have to do the KYC, and then you are in that ecosystem, and then you can buy basically everything that they have, so that will be a great onboarding. But otherwise, it's I say that we can have it in the beginning, how to get love. Get some Ethereum. Here it's all the places where you can get Ethereum, and then you can buy love, and then they are in the ecosystem. So
I think with the Pulsechain ecosystem, a lot of these projects, that's probably the missing piece is the fiat on and off ramps. I understand you guys are just trying to get launched and ready to go, and then there's going to be pieces of the puzzle coming along. But I think one thing Richard mentioned was I set up this whole ecosystem. I set up a DEX. I'm going to leave it up to you guys to do the fiat on and off ramps. And that's one thing we're doing here on this channel, is just talking to projects to see what kind of ideas they have. And your idea is probably one of the best ones we have right now, that you're working with a third party to do something. So that's definitely encouraging to see. And I'm sure a couple years down the road, it'll be so easy to go straight to buying love.io with your credit card or whatnot and going back to your bank account. So
it's and you do it also in another way, because you can always give out for free, so the cashback system is one way. So that is buy orders we are creating already now. So that means that you earn, if you're buying a perfume for $40, and then maybe you earn $2 in cashback. So that means that you have $2 in love. And so this becomes a buy order, an on-ramp, because those $2 is calculated and to give back in cashback. So they are buying a perfume for $40. So that is the price of the perfume. But $2 is actually to buy love that they get in cashback, So that is a back. You are doing the other way around. That is completely illegal, because you're giving out something for free, that is so love.io is also very unique, since we have all of these possibilities to give out like adoption that works through all of these applications, you know.
Right.
So and Richard is right too, and that is not like something that I know that Richard, he was looking at that and even was looking to create in Estonia an on-ramp, you know, and trying to make, you know, like an exchange and so on. But it is, of course, it's US that you always look at because it doesn't matter if you have like your own legal exchange in Estonia, you know, you cannot still onboard, you know, like US users. So, and to do it in the US, you need is the third party that have like a trust and these, you know, like billions of dollars in there, and they have, you know, like Security Exchange Commission approval, you know, and so on. You need that, and that is almost at this stage too big to do for Richard, you know, and he shouldn't do it either, because that is then you are involved. Better to let others do that and to work on that, but at the same time, it's have no since we are a fork of Ethereum, it is not a huge thing, and that back to what we discussed before, because if you are doing your own blockchain, like if you are doing like XRP or other like blockchains, then this with on and off ramp is like extremely important, because if you don't have an on and off ramp of your own blockchain, then it's much harder for people to buy it, because if you have or on somewhere else, you know, on another and trying to use a decentralized exchange, then it's like, oh, it's you have to do like wrapped, like Bitcoin, you have to have wrapped, you know, and then you have to do all of these things to be able to have your currency traded at the decentralized exchange. But since Pulsechain is a fork of Ethereum, we are basically in the on and off ramp of Ethereum, because we have these like bridges over, you know, and in the same ecosystem, so it's very easy to have like on and off ramps, you know.
Right. Yeah. With the on and off ramps on your website, you talk about mobile pay with, you know, Visa, MasterCard, American Express. Yeah. I'm assuming that goes along with the Lovefy marketplace, right?
Yeah. So so that is I think that on that we have on the website is more how we envision like the wallet, and that is included, and since these technologies already exist today with crypto integration with Visa and MasterCard, that is not like a big thing, you know, like if we were talking 5 years ago, I remember like Crypto.com, the founder, Chris, I met him on many conferences around the world, and then they were called Monaco coin, you know, and they were like, we are going to create this wallet where you have your Visa and MasterCard, and then they raised a lot of money to have like the Monaco coin, but then they couldn't launch it back then, but they had raised a lot of money. I think they raised like 28 million. And what they did was they used 22 million to buy Crypto.com, you know. And then after that, also the regulations have changed. So Visa and MasterCard, we want to be in crypto, so you can basically have like a wallet, and then you have to have some kind of collateral. But then you can connect your crypto wallet with Visa and MasterCard, you know. So it's like not a big technology thing as well. But it's we see that we will be there, and of course it works even today. People, as I said, is like the adoption that we already see today. Then people are like buying $40 a perfume. They get $2 in cash back in Love cryptocurrency. So that means that they actually they buy it indirectly, you know. So it works already today with a Visa and MasterCard, but of course I see it also like a great marketing thing with, for example, that you can go to a restaurant, have your Visa and MasterCard, you can pay with Love. I really like that concept, because if you value your customers and consumers, you know, and guests at restaurants and so on, to be able to pay for something with Love, you know, it's as I see, you know, like very strong marketing thing as well, that if you have it's that positive feeling, you know, like that we talked about earlier, that we see it works like really well, you know.
Absolutely. For those guys who don't know, Lovefy Marketplace is a place for, you know, where they have a list of brands. You can go in, you can buy with your Visa, MasterCard. You get cash back in the Love token, or you can use the Love token to buy these products. And the best way to think about it is like an Amazon or an eBay, and it's just a good way to get products sent straight to your door. With that being said, do you guys plan on adding other brands? Like, I know you guys already have Versace. I saw that one. Will you guys be adding more like household, like middle class type of stuff? Like, is that like in the plans for that marketing place?
Yeah, so what we did, just like setting that up now, like a test thing, you know, and get our devs working on that. And but we have, as I said already, now see that this actually works, you know, like, and I think that we are probably the only cryptocurrency that getting adoption even before it's launched, you know. So so that is like amazing. So we will add on. So we did. We added on like a few drop shippers of like famous perfumes and so on, and we will also add on some other drop shippers. I think that that will be over a million products quite soon, actually, and that will be like delivered all over the world, and it will be like the prices is also like no markup. We don't need any markup more than the cashback that is actually buying Love, you know. So so this is like amazing too, that people can buy with like no markup, and then they get Love cryptocurrency. So that will be added on, and what will happen too, like the website now is more of like a white paper with a lot of text, you know. But what will happen with like Pulsechain mainnet launch, then we will have two different websites. Like love.io will be about like the Love, the cryptocurrency, and how to download the wallet, MetaMask or Trust Wallet or whatever. It will be just like how to get the cryptocurrency, and also which exchanges and so on people can buy, and that will be like the love.io. And then we will have Lovefy will go into like this with more of the application parts, how to like Lovefy. You can Lovefy brands, you can Lovefy content. We will have one streamer. We are getting on a lot of like influencers, ambassadors, and so on. So that means to be in the like the Lovefy network. That means that content will be pushed through like the network. We signed on and actually got 2 team members, which I'm very proud of, from Think IP in UK, that is have a network of many huge like creators, artists, and so on, not only in the UK but also outside UK, with like millions of followers, and that means that they more become like Love ambassadors, and then they go out to all of their followers and fans. So that means hundreds of thousands of their followers or fans, if they are a famous author and so on, and then they are having their content have been like loveified of the Love network. So that means that we can have that on Lovefy and publish, push content that the community likes and so on, and then they can receive like micro tipping and so on from the community. So this is like fantastic things that we can integrate. So we see like two different, like Love.io will only be like the technical Love cryptocurrency, and then Lovefy.com will be like the applications sides where that can be used, and that will be, of course, be a marketplace, will be the influencer search platform. It will be like the content, push content, and so on. So it's like fantastic opportunities we have with those things.
Absolutely. And earlier you mentioned you had a database of 1 million influencers that are like committing to getting micro tipped in Love.io.
Yeah, so it's
Love.
Yeah, Love. So what? So that means it's you can look at it as there is so much today that is so strong resources for Love.io and the Love network, and a lot of applications that actually exist today. So like influencer search platforms, that's nothing like it's new. That is also like tested and proven technology, you know, and like databases and so on with a lot of influencers that you can just like set up. You can do it yourself with different programs to search like influencers and get like different categories where they work, you know. And the fantastic thing with Love is that we have done that. So we have over, as we said, over 1 million influencers from all over the world. And so that means that you can actually go in and then like search of influencers that match what you are looking for. And then there is like two functions that we will implement is this. It's not that for an influencer that gets a job, since Love will be connected to Pulsechain, will be have pairs there that can be like exchanged to fiat and so on immediately as well. So that means that an influencer, they don't need in the first phase to know about like Love cryptocurrency. They have an option. Okay, do I want to be paid in fiat or I want pay Love cryptocurrency? And of course, in the beginning, they maybe see like, oh, I don't know about cryptocurrency, I want to be paid in fiat. Yeah. But then after the second time, they get the gig, and the third time, and then they, oh, this Love cryptocurrency, oh, it's actually increased 120% last week because the network grows so fastly. Oh, maybe I want to be paid in Love instead, you know. So then you're getting adoption through that side as well, that with the fantastic time we are living in now with cryptocurrency, and it's like with the dexes and so on, that it can actually be exchanged immediately to like fiat stable coins and so on, means that these things can just like be integrated, and then you can get like adoption very, very fast, you know. So it was impossible 4 or 5 years ago with cryptocurrency, and this was like a major thing, you know. But now you can basically, if you have cryptocurrency as Love, you can use that like existing proven networks and technology. We have one very interesting as well, like a huge affiliated network that wanted to partner with us as well. And that means that you can do that the same way. Then you do like an affiliate network, and you put Love as the currency in the network, and then you just have the option of to be able to be paid in Love or to be paid in fiat, you know. But because it doesn't matter, that is like exchangeable in like 2 seconds in the Pulsechain swap, you know. That it's So it's fantastic. All these, we're coming into the same age as 2004, 2005 in the internet age, where we had all of those problems in the .com. People were talking about solutions, but we didn't have the bandwidth or anything, you know. With Pulsechain's launch, we have the technology, we have the speed, we have these fantastic things that can be like integrated into like real utility, and so on. So
Yeah,
very exciting.
no, definitely. .com boom is an awesome comparison, especially, you know, I don't believe history repeats itself, but it definitely rhymes. And I think in this scheme with this so-called new .com boom, it's going to be really interesting to see how a lot of these projects play out, which ones make it through a crash and which ones survive. So, but
yeah.
Definitely. The one thing I want to kind of just build off a little bit more is talking about your micro tipping and your well, we'll start with the micro tipping. So
yeah,
you can get paid in love. Do you guys plan on doing partnerships where you can get paid in like another token on the Pulsechain, or you just mostly focus on just love?
yeah. So the whole concept is around love, of course. But that. Back to what we just talked about now, is that, and how this is a very good question, because what we just talked about now, the fantastic thing with being in our ecosystem, and then I mean like the Pulsechain, the Hex, and indirectly all the whole Ethereum ecosystem. It is that even if you are a hexagon maximalist, you can basically use love and have that as a micro tipping, because the name and the product market fit and everything. And when you have received love, you can put like in 2 seconds, you buy hex for the love, you know. On Pulsex. So that means that, and that means for NFT artists and so on, that maybe are that their focus is in another ecosystem, but they can use the application of love in micro tipping. But if they want to buy something else, it goes a few seconds for Pulsex, you know. So it's and that what I also believe. If we see the next step in cryptocurrency and in our Web3, is what we will see is a more how to say it, more product market fit that you have in your cryptocurrency. That means that you are using those for that purpose. So, for example, micro tipping, love have a much better name, and people don't need to explain it, and it doesn't conflict with other communities and so on. You know, for example, if you are like a hexagon streamer, and then you are saying, "Oh, I want to get like micro tipping in hex," then it's first thing is that that means that you have maybe other communities that maybe looks like, "Oh, this guy, he only wants hex," and so on. Like love have that product market fit that it works basically with everyone, you know, like you always get like a smile and love, you know, in that. And then it's your decision where you want to get them. You can, as I said, you know, like you can do that, have that as almost like an automatic function, like, okay, you receive love, but then I buy hex, you know, and then you see like monetary energy coming in there. And that's the same for like an NFT artist that they're coming in and they love the love concept, that they can receive love, and then they do an NFT with a wallet address that we will also have in our functions. So we are doing that with another team in the Pulsechain community now, that we can have that function that can do like an NFT of the wallet address. And that is very attractive to these artists and content creators, even outside crypto communities, because this is solving like problems that we have had since the inception of the creator economy. It is that how to get paid while creating. And so that means that it's actually solving real world problem, even outside like crypto and micro tipping and so on, like in normal sense, that you can actually do an NFT that store the love and support that you have given, and then you can have rights that you can actually, that NFT you can sell, you know? So that means that people will come into like the love ecosystem, and then it's very easy to, as we said, you know, like, oh, maybe something else have a better product market fit. I like the delayed gratification that Hex offers, for example, and that community is very strong. I want to buy Hex, for example. So it's all about the free choice where people will use it, and so we see a lot of like synergies into this, and but of course love is, as we said, we focus on that in our system.
Absolutely, definitely makes sense. So I got a few more questions, and then I want to talk a little bit about the sacrifice phase. We're coming up on 2 hours, so I don't want to keep this too long.
Oh, it's already, but it's
yeah,
good. I like it.
Yeah, this is a great conversation. So NFTs. So I saw on your website you have like a huge incentivization for people to use micro tipping for NFTs.
Yeah.
Will you guys be launching some sort of NFT marketplace? And are you guys also planning on doing some sort of NFT collection that you can sell to like the community and anything in that ballpark?
So what we will focus on is, of course, like the love cryptocurrency and the micro tipping part, and all the other applications that we have discussed. When it comes to like the NFT, is that since love will have, like, everyone that is using love will have like a wallet address that can be like traceable and so on. So we will have that function very easy for NFT artists to make like an NFT of the wallet. So how that will look and so on, we're not sure yet, but it will be something connected to like the wallet address, and that then opens up these, that basically makes Love.io a unicorn even outside the crypto space, because we are like solving this huge problem. So those functions will be like direct connected. Then where these, like the Love wallet address that can then be tradable, because it includes these like the rights and so on to the artists that you have supported, then that is tradable, and that means that that can then be sold on any marketplace, both in the Pulsechain ecosystem and probably on the OpenSea and the Ethereum ecosystem as well. You know, when we don't want to create like our own marketplace direct for that. We see like the strength is that this is actually something that can be sold on any of the NFT marketplaces that is launching on Pulsechain, and it can be sold on any NFT marketplace that exists on Ethereum. So we see that as a strength, because if you are putting your own limits, which is back to that, that if you're doing your own blockchain and your own protocol, then it's much harder to use other like marketplaces and so on. So that's why we see these that it is a very big disadvantage to have like your own blockchain, because that limits your activity on others. But that is like the huge strength of Pulsechain, that we actually have all of these, you know. So the NFTs that we will do, it will be connected to the wallet, so that will solve that massive problem for content creators and artists. And then, but that can be sold. That is a digital asset, and that can then be sold, because that increases the value too. The more places you can actually put your NFT on sale, that means that you can actually put in, you know, tapping into other communities, and the value of that asset actually goes up, you know. I will back to like, if we see one of the successful projects of that is getting a lot of money, that is like the Flow blockchain that the NBA Top Shots, they made that, you know, but they have a huge disadvantage, because those Top Shots NFTs, they can only be sold, you know, like in that ecosystem, and so on. And so that is back to when we're talking .com, you know, like there was a lot of like projects that failed in the .com because they wanted to limit like the access, you know, like we were talking about the intranet and the extranet, you know. So it was like this, like even Microsoft, you know, I think they tried first in the beginning to like create their own internet, you know, and so on, and so that's limit. So for us, it's like we will focus on the applications that really benefits and is directly, but then all the assets like the cryptocurrency, love, the best is if it's like traded as many places as possible. The NFTs of the wallets that the supporters to content creators can make is better, that it's can work on as many marketplaces as possible as well.
Absolutely. I like that approach, and especially we're seeing a lot of these empty marketplaces, like OpenSea is centralized, and they had a whole debacle, and then I know Mintra is going to be another one coming up on Pulsechain. So Gerardo is doing that one.
Yeah, and Pulseverse is they are a young Australian team. Amazed by those kids, you know. They have been programming on Solidity for like 5 years, and they are only in their teens, you know, and they are, so I have had mentoring them a bit, and have had a few meetings with them and so on, but I'm amazed, you know, because they are like putting a lot of energy into building their Pulseverse NFT marketplace, and that is what we talked about before when it came to the technology as well, which is fantastic. So here we have a young dev team sitting in Australia and been working on Solidity for so many years, relatively many years, and then they are upgrading what OpenSea is doing. So they are basically doing a better marketplace than what OpenSea has, that you can share royalties for like NFTs, you know, and so on, that you can't do on OpenSea. I don't use OpenSea, but I don't think you can. But
yeah.
So that is like what we will have now on Pulsechain is all of these projects that actually have a much better technology, plus what we have that when we're talking about the .com bandwidth problem with slow like internet connections and transactions on .com. Now with Pulsechain, we will have like can mint an NFT for like a few cents, and Ethereum, it costs like $10, $20, $30, you know, to like mint an NFT and then put it on OpenSea, and you have these like the friction in transactions and everything, you know. So this is like massive. That what we actually we're getting better technology than Ethereum, stress test on the same code, but better technology on Ethereum. And then we open up this with like cheap transactions and the fast transactions. So I am like so excited. It's like going to be fantastic.
Absolutely. I think when this blockchain finally launches, once Pulsechain launches, it's gonna be like a birthday for everybody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so kind of moving on to the next section. I want to promote your Love.io sacrifice real quick.
Yeah.
So currently the Love.io is undergoing a sacrifice phase. Sacrifice is very similar to the Pulsechain and Pulsex sacrifice. Participation in the sacrifice for love is voluntary. Participants can use Bitcoin, Ethereum, Hex, USDT, and many other digital assets to sacrifice for love. Love will be launched as an ERC20 token during the sacrifice stages, and every Love ERC20 will be duplicated to Love PRC20 when Pulsechain mainnet is launched. If you want more information on the sacrifice phase, please visit love.io/sacrifice-details. I'll put that down in the description for all you guys who want to get into it. So with that being said, with this sacrifice coming up, could you kind of explain the sacrifice phases? Because right now we're on April, and I believe it was for every $1 you get 5,000 sacrifice points, and then
you get actually like love token. So what we are doing, similar in some ways as the Pulsechain sacrificed, and we were actually the first sacrifice after Pulsechain. So we started already in October, and that what we have focused on that is also a bit different than other like races and so on, and the capital races, is that we have not done it mainly to like raise a lot of money or to have like as big sacrifice as amount as possible, and so on. Have been quite low in the marketing and so on in this, and we see that the big swing up for us will of course happen when Pulse mainnet is launched and Love started to be traded, and it's much better to have like a cryptocurrency that have not raised too much money, because then you have like the standing point is so much higher,
Right.
So we think that we have, but we are very satisfied. We have got a lot of support, and of course for everyone that is interested in sacrificing, we're still very good, like 5,000 love for $1. So that means sacrifice rate for a few 0.00. You're probably better than math than I am, but it's very low, and and it's the same thinking as of course Pulsechain and other sacrifices, that when you have people sacrificing, that also becomes sort of like a starting value, probably, because you will most likely not have anyone selling below the amount that they sacrifice for, if they really believe in the project and so on. And so it's good in that way, but it's very similar to Pulsechain. Like, since we are doing this with a sacrifice, that means that the airdrop will be with no value. So legally, we also have that covered, that we are not actually selling anything. So the people who are sacrificing, they are part of this free airdrop that will happen after Pulsechain mainnet is launched and so on. And we have had, even if we have not like targeted any like hexagons and so on, as we said, like the main reason we are launching Love is on Pulsechain, and since Hexagon is like the biggest staker in Pulsechain, and that we see hexagons as as a sister community, we have had like big sacrifices from really prominent hexagons, and maybe they don't go out all of them and saying that on their Twitter and so on, but we have had many, and also to have outside, we are seeing that is like the strength and how love will grow, you know, is that we are very happy when we get like big sacrifices and big support from like others outside the community and so on, and that is everything. We have big interest also, since we are talking a lot about Web3, and love is a cryptocurrency that will really succeed in the Web3 area. When we're talking about the Internet of Value, and what we have talked during these 2 hours, that love is actually taking a position about in this when it comes to like micro tipping, which is like so many billions of dollars in market value, and when we're talking about this when it comes to loyalty and between brands and so on. So this is a big thing, and every venture capital firm in the US, they maybe don't have like cryptocurrency in their allocation of funds, but when you're talking Web3, they have like a huge amount allocated. So we have already now like really, really serious discussions with like big venture capital firms, and I've been to San Francisco a few times during my time here in US, and it's like really interesting. And of course, those processes take much longer time, but they will be very interesting there too. And there is still 2 phases left, one now in April, and then goes down to 4,000 in May. So for a community that viewing this and wants to get involved and believe in love.io and what we are doing, it's still really great to sacrifice.
Absolutely. I mean, I always say with like cryptocurrency, you're never late. All you gotta do is just show up. So definitely, yeah. It's great, great opportunity for you guys to get in, especially at the ground floor, man. Especially since you're getting airdrop free crypto. So sweet. So building off of that, so on your website, you were talking about like the token allocations. And so it states 70% goes to Sacrifice, 15% to Lovefy Incorporated, and 14% to Lovefy Foundation, and then 1% to the Genesis address. Now, I want to ask about those allocations for the Lovefy Incorporation and the Lovefy Foundation. I believe like the Love.io Foundation is going to be used for charity work and whatnot. And then the Lovefy Incorporated, what is that token allocation going to be used for? Like marketing or?
So what we have done it, that's also like a big difference from like the Pulsechain sacrifice. We have set up a foundation in Switzerland, which is like a non-profit foundation, and we see that that all have to do a lot with like the adoption for the future ecosystem, how to promote, and we decided that that is a good way, because then we have like a legal entity that is behind. There is, you mentioned XRP before, and they have a similar way where they have like the Ripple Foundation, and then they have the Ripple Labs, I think they're called, and so on. And that is a bit what we have looked at as well. So we have like the foundation, which is a non-profit with a mission of like promoting the ecosystem of love, and then we also took a part that we really liked, what Richard did with Pulsechain, and that is to have like he did like the biggest raise for charity that have been done in the crypto space, and hardly anyone is talking about it. That was like 27 million raised for medical research, and I think that the second to him is Vitalik, who donated like 2 million, and no one is talking about it. But it was like a fantastic setup that you could actually like send donation to this non-profit, and then you got like Pulse back, so that incentivized that. So we have taken that concept to Love.io and the foundation. That means that every year we will have like the community or some kind of DAO that is deciding where money should be donated to. So that means that the community can say that, okay, we decide that this, if it's like the Zen org or if it's any other thing that we want to promote, then people can send like fiat, the donations and so on, and then they get love back from the foundation, just like the Pulse sacrifice did, and so we have implemented that into that foundation as well. And but the main core thing is a non-profit, and it's working to promote like the ecosystem and so on. It's not like you can have a foundation that have like a lot of tokens allocation, and then they are like just like ruin the price or selling off, in exchanges and so on. So this is will be like really controlled and working after the so there is, of course, we could have done similar to like Pulsechain or what Richard have done, or if it is him, because that we can't say, if it him or I can just say that how like Hex and Pulsechain is set up, that you have these like the OIs and so on, addresses that holds a lot of tokens, and so you can do it that way. We decided, okay, we do it through like a foundation, and then we have like full disclosure and so on in the foundation, and every year, and that also means that that can be, like people can also come from the community and be part of the foundation, and so on. So that is where like the Love cryptocurrency, the legal part of the airdrop is like coming from, is the foundation part. What Lovefy Inc. Is registered in here in the US and in Europe and Asia. So that is more of like the application developer part, that we have, real devs teams that will then work on applications where Love can be used, as we have done and started to do with the marketplace and the influencer search platform, and also other thing, and also to have like a legal body where you can actually have staff that are employed legally, locally, in different markets. So that is like the Lovefy Inc. Here in the US. So we are still deciding where the physical office will be, if it will be San Francisco or Miami, or I know T-Money in Hexagon community, he wants us to be in Las Vegas, but we see it's very interesting. Nice places around in the US. Of course, San Francisco, since we have got a good feedback from that traditional VCs and so on. So that is like one option. But then Miami is and Florida is like the crypto state, I would say, now in the US, where you even have like the Dos Santos and all of the mayor of Miami, you know, was even speaking at the Bitcoin conference, and so they are really focused on bringing in like crypto companies. We see that Lovefy INC can also be having that, but now we are a team around like 20 all around the world, and from different nationalities and different backgrounds and so on, and so we work different places, but there will be like physical offices, and so there is allocation going to Lovefy as well in that part, but that is also focusing in adoption of the ecosystem, but through more of like doing like real utility applications and so on. So that is how it works there.
Yeah, I'm really impressed by the mayor of Miami? He took a huge role in implementing cryptocurrency, especially in that section of Florida. And Florida has done a great job in trying to push forward with adoption. So I'm really impressed by them. So I definitely want to give him a shout out because he's been leading the charge. But awesome. So I think I'm gonna wrap up this interview. It was awesome. I got one more question though.
Okay.
So this is a big one. Feel free not to answer because you might get backlash for this one. But what is your 1 year price prediction for the Pulsechain coin after it launches? 1 year.
Okay, that's a good question. I love to answer. And how I see it is that I would like to extend that question to maybe to also include like a more longer time, because I think that is something that many is missing and comparing it to. And I have heard in like the Pulsechain community and the Hexagon community, when they like sometimes they compare it with Tron, which I know very well. I lived in China for over 10 years, you know, and Johnsson, he's from China, and so on. And they somehow have started like, when Tron launched, it was like 100x for the Tron. But that was a bit different because we had like the whole Chinese community behind, and that this was like the first Chinese blockchain, you know, and so on. So we can't really like compare and say that the Pulsechain, it's like you just launch a new blockchain and then we will have the same price development. But I see that if we make a good job now with the launch with Pulsechain when it happens, and also that job that we need to do, that is to infiltrate like other communities going out, you know, like I have been speaking at so many conferences around, and many don't know about Pulsechain. You know, it's like we in the community, and we are like talking like just give out free things to people that will just take it, you know, and be happy, you know. And yes, some true in that, but at the same time, it's not all about just like giving out for free. People must know that they have things for free, you know. And so what I see, and that goes back to that price prediction, that the price will depend in 1 year. It's how great we can actually go out and get people both to know that they have these free access assets on the Pulsechain. So that's like one criteria. If we do a good job, we can have a massive price increase in the 1 year. If we think that this will work by itself, that will never happen, you know. So so we have that great option of like going out market. We should like all of the hexagons, you know, like I'm still like very confused why I have not been on like every stream in the hexagon community, you know, because it's
Right.
like, that is how we can bring in, you know, like new people into like the community, you know. And but the price, like the bigger, the more we can get in this, like the monetary energy in, that people actually know that they have the free assets, then we can have, you know, like a massive price increase that can be, you know, like hundreds of times, hundreds of X's, you know, like in 1 year, you know. But the good thing is that, and that is also different from like the Tron launch, you know, and other blockchains launch. And that is what I think it was Rag of Riches that said that in a stream that he was with Corey, one of our ambassadors. He said that what this make difference is that like, since all the copies on Pulsechain, that will exist, you know, for forever, probably. And that means that if you have an asset tokens that becomes copied over ERC20s, and then you may be, if it's like someone that have not heard about Pulsechain or anything, it doesn't matter if they discover that they have assets on Pulsechain in 1 year, 2 year, or 3 years. 4 years, they maybe heard, oh, did you know that your wallet address actually have copied since Pulsechain launched, you know. So that means that we can have people discovering Pulsechain like in 4 years' time too, and then can also grab their assets, you know. So it's not about just like we succeed and then we that everything will happen. This success can come also like a longer period, you know, and can come like step by step. But the better job we do as early as possible, that means that we can have a higher price of Pulse, like already, you know, like in launch or in 3 months or in 1 year, you know. And we are talking about these. I tweeted, I think a week ago or something, is that what we have the potential of doing in with Pulsechain and the price is that if we look at it as that the cryptocurrency as a whole will do 10x in a 5 years time. So that is like something that we probably can agree with, that cryptocurrency as a whole will do like 10x, you know, at least, because that is what we have, like the historical background and so on. And then we can also agree that Bitcoin's dominance basically is going down for every year, you know, because it's like even if I love Bitcoin and that got me into cryptocurrency, it's still one of the not best performing assets, you know, compared to other projects and so on. And the dominance is like going down, down, down. And I think like in a 5 years period that this we're going down from like 40% that we are today down to like 14%, you know. And if the crypto markets have increased by 10x, that means that all other non-Bitcoin projects share like a potential market cap of 20 over trillions of dollars. And that is where we say like, okay, this is like a share, 20 trillion of dollars that we have the potential of gaining. And the better job we can bring in adoption into our ecosystem from other ecosystems, then we can say that, okay, we take like 10%, then Pulsechain will have 2 trillion in market cap in 5 years. If we we have much better technology, we have better than anyone else, then we can go even higher, to 50%. That means that we have potential. So then we are talking like really many X's compared to where we are today. So I like to see it like it's more about an adoption fight, like now we have these 5 years, get as much adoption into Pulsechain as possibly. It will not happen overnight. It's not like a magic thing that will happen, just like when Richard says that next week mainnet will be up. We will not have, as I see it, as I look at it now, maybe like the first phase, like a massive. There probably will be 5-10x's, I think, like the first 3 months. I would say that is probably where we look at. And
yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I asked KG that, and he said 15x in the first year, and some people got backlash for it. It was so funny. But I definitely agree with you. It's based on adoption and how much of the market share we can get based off of how big cryptocurrency becomes, and and there's a lot of determinants on how many people figure out that they just got to airdrop Pulsechain tokens, because I feel like a majority of the cats on Ethereum blockchain won't know and whatnot. So you definitely bring up a lot of valid points.
It is, So that is because I am out on these like the crypto shows the whole time, and because I see like the monetary energy, like most of it, that have been done like in the sacrifice phase and so on from the community, and all X's above that must come from like outside, and my experience being just like outside in the crypto, I always describe Pulsechain that this is like the best kept secret in crypto. We don't have a YouTuber or anyone talking about it, and so that's why I want to put all our strengths, all our unique selling points that we have like so massive selling points by people who use Pulsechain and come in,
Yeah,
and, I want that to be like concentrated. I want this to be like every time Hexicans have an only Hexican meetup anywhere, I think it's like a waste of of like strength, because that strength could be like infiltrated at an existing crypto community, and then people will see like, why is Hexicans having these amazing parties, and why does there stand more Lamborghinis outside the Pulsechain dev place, and so on. That is how we are bringing like attention and energy, and Richard can be on streams everywhere, it's and I think that the docu series with Richard and that will be amazing too. I think that hopefully that will be like something that is aired in many places, and that can also bring a lot of attention and so on. So
yeah, docu series is exciting, man. It's be really cool. So yeah, definitely. I'm excited for that docu series when else comes up. But awesome, man. So I think I'm gonna wrap up the interview. That was a great interview.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking some time out of your day to talk with me. I definitely got a lot of great insight that not only be valuable to me, but a lot of people here on YouTube trying to find the next hot and new project. So if you guys want to check out love.io, we'll have all the links in the description, especially if you want to get into the sacrifice phase and all that stuff. And we also have information on the Pulsechain and Hex and all these projects we talk about so much in this interview. So with that being said, guys, thank you for viewing this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Yep.